Hi, I'm Todd Sanders, President and CEO of the Greater Phoenix Chamber. With Giving Tuesday right around the corner on December 2nd, I want to remind you that every donation to the Greater Phoenix Chamber Foundation will be matched up to $5,000, doubling your impact. Your donations help support students secure life-changing internships, connect job seekers to quality jobs, and fund workforce research. Visit phoenixchamberfoundation.com and consider helping us make a lasting impact to create a brighter future for Arizona. Welcome back to the podcast. We have a great show for you today. We have Dr. Curtis Finch, who is the superintendent of the Deer Valley Unified School District. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for the opportunity. Looking forward to it.
Well, and it turns out you're a veteran of podcasts, so we're good to go. We're expecting a lot.
Okay.
People are going to be able to see your bio, but tell us a little bit about yourself, and then maybe at the end, give us something about you that's not on your bio that we would find interesting. Like maybe you ran with the Bulls in Pamplona. I don't know, but. Give us a snapshot.
Well, I'm in my 37th year in education.
Okay.
27 years as a superintendent. So I started out as a high school math teacher and language arts.
Math and language arts?
Math. My theory was reading, writing, arithmetic.
Yeah.
So I could get a job.
Okay. So it's not your left brain and right brain. Okay.
So obviously I had 5 offers right out of the gate, and I've got started in Alaska. I'm an Alaska boy.
Okay.
And then I married a Michigan girl, so I went to Michigan. So I've been I was a superintendent in Michigan for 18 years, and then this is my 9th year in Arizona. My mom lives in Apache Junction, so that's what brought us here.
That's what brought you. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that makes a lot of sense.
Yep. I'm from an interest standpoint, I'm a hunter. Obviously, if you came into my office, you'd see a 52-inch bull moose on the wall, a double shovel caribou, and a blacktail. I'm a hunter, play guitar.
Okay.
Outdoorsy guy.
Excellent. And so I'm assuming all this hunting was in Alaska, or do you do some here?
No, I haven't really gotten into it here. Been too busy.
Yeah.
But yeah, when my friends take off without me, my heart tugs a little.
I can imagine. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, appreciate you joining us, and I know you are busy. Maybe a little bit about the district and sort of where you see things going. What's your philosophy as you move forward?
Sure. We are, I think, the 4th or the 5th largest in the state. We're kind of northern central Maricopa County, 33,000 kids, 42 schools, 4,000 employees. Obviously, the big news in our neighborhood is TSMC.
Absolutely.
So they're smack dab in the center of my district. So that's a new variable in the equation. I was part of the recruitment team to say, hey, you guys need to park here.
Absolutely.
This is what we can do for you. And to this day, I have about 400 Taiwanese students in my system and about 300 coming this summer. So it'll be a constant influx of students from Taiwan, which is a unique variable to our district.
Absolutely. And when you mentioned that many schools, how many direct reports for something that big?
Well, I have what I call a cabinet, and so I have 9 people on the cabinet, but 4 of them are what you'd call assistant superintendents.
Okay.
And they're kind of my right-hand people.
So a very big job.
Big job.
It would be considered a large company here in Phoenix.
Oh yeah, we're a $280 million operation with, I'm sure, $1 billion or $2 billion of assets that are owned by the community. And so yeah, it's a big job. I enjoy it.
Well, and we recently had Semicon here in the Valley, which was, I think, a tremendous story, but interesting to hear that you were a part of that initial recruiting team. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I can rewind my brain how that actually happened. I think Christine McKay, that name probably rings a bell.
She sure does.
She knocked on my door.
New leader of GPEC.
Yeah. She is a great gal. Knocked on my door and said, hey, we have a couple companies that are thinking about coming this direction. Would you be interested in talking to them? They have 4 or 5 options they're looking at. And I said, sure, whatever. And then she told me a little bit about it, the different types of companies. TSMC was one of them.
Sure.
And so I said, well, I'm going to grab my curriculum director. And so we met with, I bet there was 50 people in the room, and kind of gave them the Deer Valley story and why this is a good location and good for families. We're arguably the best K-12 unified in the state. We academically are top shelf, A-rated, 27 A schools, 35 of our 42 are A or B. We won 70 state titles last year in the fine arts, academics, and athletics. So we're on top of the game and have a really great staff and really great committed administration, and we get it done for kids, and we're pretty proud of it. So it was
Absolutely.
probably an easy sell.
Well, I mean, and you obviously said the right thing, because clearly education's a critical thing for all of us as parents, and we had parents coming over here that had their kids in their best interests at heart. So obviously that went well. You mentioned 400 already here, 300 are on the way. Not traditional students in any way that we would view them. How did you incorporate them into our system?
Not easy. That is not easy. Obviously, you have to kind of put yourself into their shoes.
Yep.
Imagine getting off the plane or getting on a plane on Friday, and on Monday you're in another country going to school. And so we have a bunch of cooperative efforts prior to their arrival: shot records, birth certificates, translation of transcripts, where we think a kid might fit. And then they don't really have a house yet. So part of our requirements, you have to have an address.
Sure,
so
of course,
what
to
do
be in
we
the
put?
district, yeah.
Yeah, Bubba's, or what do we put? Walmart. Well, we figured out a system where we can be still legal, get the kids in school ASAP,
Yeah.
and then obviously get them the services. Some cannot speak English. Some are great at speaking English. There obviously is a totally different system. And so, yeah. It's
Do you have an ESL track for some of these
Oh,
kids?
for sure. Yep. We have a machine figured out now of how to, because if you have the kid in the wrong chair, it wastes their time. And that's our general philosophy with any student that comes. We have thousands of kids that choose us in open enrollment. Same concept. Where do you fit? Where do you fit best? Meet with the parents, get the best description of the kid. Obviously, if you're not going to be enrolled, or if you're going to be a resident of this zone, you can automatically get a bus ride to that. But if you're open enrolled to one of my other 42 schools, then you have to do your own transportation.
Different story.
Different story. So these parents, they don't know our system.
Of course.
So we have to teach them, this is when obviously we have translators and another welcome team, I guess you would call them, that kind of helps set up the students for success.
Monumental task.
Monumental, but it's been a really nice infusion of another culture, and it's been a challenge for sure, but my team has really stepped up.
So I know I had a brief stop in Taiwan a few years ago. One of the things that obviously I noticed is the food was a little different. We know what cafeteria food looks like in our high schools. What'd you do on that front?
Well, high schools in particular have a lot more variety than what you would think.
Probably what I remember back in that Mingus High School.
You wouldn't recognize
Right.
it. Yeah, they have salad bars and all these different options. So it's more like you have a coupon and you can spend it over here, here. So that's pretty common in today's high school.
So a little bit more like
A little more, yeah. You didn't get 2 scoops of potatoes and 1
that's what
scoop
it
of
was.
corn, and and you had to eat it all. You couldn't go to recess.
Right, the corn dog. Biggest challenge, again, monumental, not just 400 kids moving into your district, but 400 kids that really had to, from start to finish, had to be integrated into your system.
For me, it's what I want them to have a positive experience.
Yeah.
And so we try to communicate as best we can with the parents and continue to convey that, hey, what do you need? We'll have special days for them. We'll have special events for them where they can get together. What we're noticing, I don't know if you know this, but Deer Valley has the oldest Mandarin-speaking immersion program in the state.
Did not?
So that was a welcoming part of our shtick when we met with them, and that has been a hit. So because we have dozens of teachers that can speak Mandarin in our system, so that's been a good liaison too, because they can put them in the immersion if they want more of home, or they can say, no, we're going to throw the kids in the deep end, but if he needs help, it's over here.
There's some of that.
So that's helped a lot too.
Well, it sounds like Chris Mackey knew what she was doing when she called
Picked the right guy.
Well, let's talk about some of your top priorities for this year. No, we've just gotten started.
We have an override, and so that is in front of the voters, and so we're obviously educating the community on our needs.
Okay.
And override, as you know, override is really community support. Mm-hmm. So Arizona, unfortunately, ranks 50th in the nation. Now I heard we dropped to 50th for support for public ed, financial support. So that community support is super important.
So let's talk about this a little bit without getting into the weeds for folks who don't know the way that we fund our schools and overrides. Maybe just quickly a quick primer on funding versus overrides.
Yeah, funding comes from the state mainly.
Sure.
And then obviously special programs, special ed, busing, there's different things that come from the feds. And so the federal government has their own feeding system, and Arizona does as well. But the legislature caps our dollars from them at 2%.
Okay.
So if inflation goes up 6%, you're already going backwards.
You're getting to.
And it has been going backwards.
Yes, it has.
For the last 4 or 5 years. So, so that's why they allow in Arizona bonds and overrides. And bonds are really things, buildings.
Okay, capital expenses.
Capital, yeah, buses, AC, things you can see. And then overrides are things like support programs, people, activity fees, those kinds of things.
Okay.
More support. And so the community can decide, hey, we want to help support. And we've had an override since the early 90s.
So this is a continuation.
It's a continuation.
This won't be a new tax.
We did lose it the last couple of times for some bizarre reason. So, but yeah, we've had it since the 90s.
Okay.
So,
And so if I'm a voter in that district, what do I need to know? Why should I vote for this?
couple of reasons. In general, I think if you ask Grok or ChatGPT, what are the most important reasons why we support public ed as a taxpayer, maybe that doesn't have kids in the machine, which is a lot of voters today.
Yeah.
Especially in Arizona. As I say, no one's from here. So they don't have that community tie. They're all from Alaska or Michigan. The top three things that any search engine will tell you is when you support local public school, the number one is your property value sticks or stays or grows, depending on the value of your school system. The second thing is crime. There's a direct correlation. If you continue to underfund your schools, eventually your community decays. And the last one would be what we're talking about today, and that's training the future of who's going to take care of me in that nursing home, who's going to help me out build my house, whatever, et cetera.
Well, it occurs to me, too, that the fourth one would be the $165 billion that came into the state as a result of part of the equation, which is you were at the table talking about education with these folks.
Yep, for sure. Yep. When you sit across from these companies and you can say, oh, yeah, we can do that and we can do it well, that's what they're looking for.
I imagine it would be hard-pressed to move to a place where you didn't think your kids were going to be able to get an education. And so obviously you convinced them of that.
In the end, they might be a CEO or a CFO in front of you, but they're, number one, they're a parent.
Yeah.
So I want my kids safe. I want them in a good environment where they can learn. And I want them to be stretched a little bit and find out what they want to do with their life, because I don't want to live in my basement forever.
Yeah.
So that's my job.
Your lips to God's ears. Okay. Well, and so good news, more good news for Deer Valley. You were voted, or you're, I guess, honored with this idea that you were a top superintendent in the state.
That rumor's true.
Well, tell us about that.
Last year, be Superintendent of the Year for Arizona for the large districts. So it's an honor to serve Arizona students, and just got rewarded for probably I'm assuming it's obviously because of our performance. We've had a really nice run in the last 9 years. Every year we seem to break new records in the machine, and that's just I think it's just a reflection of the good to great model. That's something I really believe in, putting the right people on the right seat of the bus and just turn them loose and having them accountable for that seat. And if you can't hold down that seat, I need to find somebody that can. So it's not really good at that in education. That's something I'm good at.
Well, it's good news. It's refreshing.
Good news, yeah.
So it sounds like the secret sauce is really putting people in the right place and then letting them do what they need to do versus micromanaging. Correct.
Yep. And again, this is my 20th. I've been a leader since I was a kid. I was student body president when I was a kid. I've been a commercial fisherman, a gold miner, and working with guys that are twice my age. And by leading them, and it's all about empowering others, encouraging others, helping them reach their potential. So even as a kid, you can help, catch more fish or get more gold or build bigger houses. My dad came from that world. He was a maintenance man for our school, and my mom was a bus driver. So I understand that world and grew up in it. And obviously Alaska, there's no better place to learn how to do those kinds of things, because no help is coming. The help is not on its way. Yeah. So learn how to do it. You don't know how to weld, figure it out. You don't know how to plumb, figure it out. And there was no YouTube when I learned.
Thank God for YouTube. Why, you mentioned that this isn't necessarily something that you see a lot in education. Why do you think that is?
I think today, I think it may be getting better, But I think today, you're fighting the college pull. There's a lot of information about how important college is, and a lot of draw, maybe is the right word, for parents to think my kid should do this because maybe I had good experience with it. But I think what's changing it today is AI. Artificial intelligence is scaring parents that are in the college world to think, well, maybe that isn't something that's even going to be around in 5 years or 10 years. Maybe my kid, I know they don't outsource plumbing. They don't bring in a robot to do welding. You have to do it on site because that's where the pipe is. So I think you're starting to see a shift, even in the latest polling, that parents are thinking about, oh, maybe we need a really hands-on job because in 10 years, 20 years from now, these other jobs might not even exist.
No, and I want to get to that. Before I do, though, especially given the fact that you've been in education so long, obviously honored as one of the top folks in our state, give us a sense for the state of education in Arizona.
In Arizona in particular, we are kind of the frontier of experimentation, which has its pluses and minuses.
Okay. Start with the pluses.
The pluses is competition.
Okay.
So the theory was or is that if you have different opportunities, then the parent can choose A over B because it's for my kid.
Got it.
Obviously, the flip side of that, if you don't have accountability or transparency for those choices, then it turns out to be the school's choice, whether I want your kid or not the parent's choice. And back in the 50s, we called that segregation. But today, it's part of the game. So if you want your kid to go to school X, charter school or private, they can say, we don't want your kid. He has a discipline problem. He has an IEP.
So a charter school can say that?
Oh, yeah. They do it all the time. All the time. They don't even hide it anymore. It's on their websites. They say, we have application for our school. And then we'll let you in or not. So, yeah, they used to hide it. Now they don't hide it. So, as you know, public school, we take every kid, no matter what, no matter where they're at, and help them succeed where they're at. So that's the two-edged sword of our current model. If you don't have to play by the same rules, and which they don't play by the same rules that I have to have transparency, I have to have accountability. I have an elected board of community members that help monitor what I do. If you go to any private school, any charter school, they handpick their people. You can have Uncle Louie and your grandma and your attorney be on your board. Well, that's not a good accountability system. And that's the negative of the Arizona system.
So aside from that, but has competition made you better?
Actually, you could argue that. I say that I would get the same competition if it's just like it is today, open enrollment, from my neighbors. I'm next to Peoria, TV, Scottsdale, so all these big dogs are around me. If I don't perform, they just go next door. So the difference between a charter and private, they can pull their school right up next to mine. And for some bizarre reason, they always choose my A schools, and they put their charter school in a strip mall right next to my A school and pull the kids out that they want.
Imitation is the most sincere form of flattery.
Yeah, I'd take it as a plus.
There you go.
There you go.
You mentioned funding and the fact that you felt like, or you realized that we've just slipped again. Where are we there?
I think we're down to 50th. We were at 48th. It really started in the 80s. And before my time, if you talk to the old timers around here, they could probably tell you a better version of it. But we've steadily climbed to the bottom, or fell to the bottom, creeped to the bottom for financial support from the legislature. And the theory was, if we can make them more efficient, we'll get a good product.
Which is fair, right?
Yeah, that's good.
So what went wrong in that theory?
The problem with that is if you today, I'll give you an example, proficiency. If you say a student is at the 35th percentile of proficiency or 50th, if you know the kid's zip code, I can tell you how good they're doing on their tests. Proficiency. Proficiency is always tied to social economic status, where they live. If they have museums, if they have two parents, if they have all these positive variables in their life, their proficiency.
That adds to it.
And you could do that anywhere in the country. Okay. If you know where they're at, I can tell you how those kids are doing in that school.
Gotcha.
Just by simple math. Growth is different. Growth says if you can take a kid who's here and raise them here, or take a kid who's here and raise them up, that's the difference between a good system and a system that's just surviving or just existing. So Deer Valley's really good at both. Obviously, I have 14 title schools in my district, so I do have some tracks running through the middle of my district, so I have to worry about making sure that everyone gets the same opportunities. But in general, it's important that the title schools, for lack of a better word, those who are less advantaged get more opportunities or more opportunities to succeed. And that's something that this system has not helped us with. And that's probably, because I just said that, if you want to go to a charter, you want to go to a private, you are handpicked. Well, who's left at the public schools then? So it's all your special needs students, your title students, it's kids that are struggling behavior, et cetera, et cetera. But if you have a really good school like ours, we keep a lot of our own kids. So
You absorb it.
we absorb it, but it makes it, well, for example, my special ed IEP, I have about 5,000 students on IEPs and 504s. But that has now moved up as a percentage. Used to be about 7, 8%, then 10, then 12. Now it's about 15, 16% of my population. So I'm seeing this trend. Well, what causes that? Pulling out of my system.
Well, as a dyslexic kid with learning disability, I appreciate it.
Yeah. That's why we exist.
Yeah.
That's the number one reason we exist, to take every kid where they're at. If they're blind, they can't see, they're deaf, they need auditory support, learning disability, you name it, we adapt to the kid.
So we make you king of the legislature for a day. What would you do from a funding perspective?
Well, I think today we are, if you adjust for inflation, we are running with 1980s dollars. So, hey, I wouldn't, if we don't have to be 50th, I mean, 35th?
So you'd index it.
Yeah, for sure. I'll give you an example. The AEL, I don't know if you know anything about the aggregate expenditure limit. That formula is built on 1986, I believe. That's almost 50 years old. That's ancient, and we're still using it today. So that our whole system is really built on starvation, and that we're paying for it. Unfortunately or fortunately, Deer Valley is surviving in spite of, but I know a lot of school districts that don't. We have good community support and been able to excel at what we're doing. But if you want to come work for me in my system as an administrator, you're going to take a pay cut from any school district in the state. But they can't get it. They're lining up to get into our district. Why? Because we're a great place to work, great culture, and we have a mission of doing what's right for kids. And I think consistent leadership helps as well.
Of course.
If you look in any kind of business, same thing would be true.
So the message to our policymakers is we just need to open up the hood and modernize the system from funding perspective.
And if they need me, you can reach me on my cell phone.
We know where to find you. So you mentioned career and technical education. For those of us who have been around for a while, that usually meant shop class. What does it look like today? What does that mean today?
Today, I think, in Deer Valley in particular, I'll just talk about my shop. We have about 50 programs that a kid can sign up for in the Deer Valley machine just itself, and then we have programs at Westmac. That's our another.
It's a great system. Absolutely.
And they are handling the more expensive programs. Maybe that's a better word to say it.
Well, capital intensive programs.
Yeah. We'll say like auto shop or aviation, or
Diesel.
welding, diesel, those kinds of things. So, but we have about 50 programs inside our machine, so there are plenty of opportunities for kids to get plugged in. I think the problem today, I always tell my counselors that we need to get to these kids sooner before mom and pops get the idea that, oh, my kid's going to fill in the blank, before they explore the reality of the value of a CTE experience.
Well, and I think that's probably true, and part of that's the story. As I mentioned, my vision of shop class is a vision that doesn't exist anymore. What does it look like today, though? You're a kid looking at it. What does that mean for you?
Well, you probably wouldn't believe this until you saw it. But in my high school, Barry Goldwater High School, I have a full-blown restaurant. Now back when you were in school and I was in school, was home ec.
Yep.
And you got to, cook an egg and
Correct.
called it good. We have a full-blown restaurant that is open Thursdays. You can go on our website, check it out, and the kids run the whole thing.
Okay.
And so that's one example. We have a full-blown construction program.
Okay.
You can actually build stuff and do plans, and we have engineering, we have
I'm sure those
coding
kids
and
do a little bit
nursing.
better in geometry once they get in.
They do, and the research says they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, they actually are some of our highest performing students.
Well, it makes sense. It's applied, right?
It's applied.
Yeah, Pythagoras makes sense.
The secret to getting to a student is purpose. If you can get, I don't care what it is, if you can get a student to come to school because of band, because of student council, because of their construction class, because of their girlfriend, whatever it takes to get that kid to see a future, that's what you want to make sure you're connecting with those kids. So it's really an opportunity and convincing them that, hey, you can do it, and here's what you need to do to get there.
So it sounds like applied learning for a lot of kids that all of a sudden makes sense to them.
Yep, it has a connection. It has a purpose.
So obviously, the Chamber's ElevateEd program is something that we take very seriously. We've expanded over the last 4 years to now 27 schools. Your district is one that we're honored to be in. Talk to us about that partnership and why it's important to you.
Well, I think the plus of ElevateEd is the awareness. It's just another set of adult ears and eyes that are saying, hey, Johnny, have you thought about? Hey, Susie, have you thought about? And here's what you can do with it. I think we've now went to more of a career tree concept versus thou shalt be an auto body person.
Thank you.
It's these skills pretty much can work in these 5 different things, so it's a different approach, but it seems to be working because if you look at the Asian system, the European system, Middle Eastern system, they're all sorting systems. In America, you can blossom at the 11th hour. And that's the plus of our system. That's why everybody wants to come here, is because we don't give up on you. So we can just find that niche where that light bulb finally turns on, and then you're off to the races.
So, one of the things that we found that's really impactful, especially I know you're talking about your kids, we also consider your kids our kids, is the internship opportunities for, taking that applied learning a little bit further. Talk to us a little bit about that and the importance for Deer Valley as businesses open their doors to some of our high school
That
kids.
has been a blessing as well. That's something that I believe in. As I mentioned, I was in Michigan for a superintendent there for 18 years. 12 of those years I was over at a career center. And so I already had it in my blood and already expanded those programs. And again, with the idea that it's just more opportunities. And for me, I'll give you an example of what I did when I first got there. There used to be, I was over 5 school districts. It was like a Boise or a RISA, which we don't have in here. We have them in Texas, but it's kind of middle between the state government and the local, this thing called a Boise or an ISD or RISA. I was one of those guys, and we did special ed. We did career center. We did training, a lot of our professional development training. Well, what I did was they said, well, we only have 500, I was picking numbers, 600 kids at the career center. In each district got 3 slots for this. And I said, why are we doing that? What about the other 50 kids that want to get in? So I said, we're not doing that anymore. We're letting any kid come in. Well, of course, they went nuts. They said, you can't do that. I said, yes, we can. And so sure enough, I spent $1 million like 3 summers in a row expanding programs, and we doubled our kids. And it's all about opportunities. Yeah. So we have all these machines and systems that, say you can't go there unless you do. Yeah. It should be the opposite. If we get the hook in the kid, they'll do all the rest of that stuff because they want to.
It's amazing to see the transformation. And I know you see it every day. I've seen it a few times, and it's just that generational change.
Yep.
So what would you tell a business owner that's listening to us and thinking, yeah, okay, I get it. But I don't think I want a high school kid at a senior in my business. What would you say to them?
Well, I think they'd be surprised at actually how sharp the kids are today. The stuff that we learned, they're learning as a senior, they're learning as a sophomore. And so just the learning is compacted with the internet and the amount of stuff that's available to the modern kid. Yeah, I heard a statistic that said the modern senior sees more information than their grandparents did in their entire life in 1 year.
Yeah.
And so that the modern kid is pretty innovative, flexible, has a lot of potential. They just need the hook. And so as a business owner, I think the best thing you do is go knock on your local high school door and say, hey, how can I plug into this school? How can I get some kids in my shop? This is the kind of kid I'm looking for. Yeah, or maybe like internship, like you said, or shadowing, or just a field trip.
Or externships.
Externship, just show off your company. Like, hey, because if you don't put your hooks in those kids, somebody else will. And so somebody else, other interest is going to grab them, and then your next workforce is not coming out of the high school. Maybe you have to wait to repurpose a guy or gal down the road. But I think just knocking on the front door is the way to go. There's plenty of different places where you can volunteer at your local high school. You can send your company in, and like they have judges for competitions. As a kid, learning nursing, and they would need some nurses to come look, and are they doing this right, that right? There's things that you can do to kind of get your idea, your concept in front of students.
Yeah. Businesses don't know where to start with schools, and so this intermediary idea was a way to funnel some of that energy back and forth. So I appreciate that. I think about your comments about Alaska. Like, you had to have accountability, right? Your parents weren't going to just let you do what you wanted to do without being accountable, but also adaptation and soft skills. All those things, at least the conventional wisdom, seem to be missing a little bit from today's. You talked about the role, or if there is a role, within your district for those sort of intangibles.
Yes, there's probably an evolution of that over time. I think today there's the modern parent, I think, is a little more afraid, and thanks to social media, probably not helping, but a little more afraid to let their kids fail. And I think of all the experiences I had in my life, the failures are when I learned the most.
Your parents didn't bubble wrap you?
They didn't bubble wrap me. They said, there's the door, go get a job. And so, I think that's a part of it. And so if you want to get a job as a 15-year-old, 14, 15, 16, you need to have those skills because you're playing in an adult world. So we work towards teaching kids, this is how you respond to adults. This is how you present yourself. This is what should be on a resume. This is how you interview. Because again, you're selling yourself. So what are the positive things about you that someone would else want to hire? And I know ElevateEd counselors, my counselors, teachers, the machine really works on those soft skills, because that's really what they're after. If you get trained as a mechanic in a Joe CTE program and they take you to Ford, Ford's going to say, forget everything you just learned. We're going to teach you. We're going to send you to Ford University, and you're going to learn how to work on Fords. And then you're there for life.
Right.
And so that they just want those soft skills. Can you talk to people? Can you be kind? Right. Can you be a problem solver? Can you do things on your own?
Get to work on time?
Can you be on time? Can you pass a drug test?
Right.
Those kinds of things that are super important to a good employee.
As we're wrapping up, you mentioned AI and how sort of CTE tends to be AI proof, at least today. Let's talk about how it's going to change education. My kid's a senior in college, and his professors are encouraging him to use, ChatGPT and things like that. Like, I remember the back in the day when we were encouraged to use calculators, it was just, you're cheating. How do you think it'll change education?
Well, I think it's going to be good and bad. So it kind of depends on how you're using it. We also are of that mindset. It's like the calculator, the internet. You can, put tape over the thing and pretend it doesn't exist, but eventually you have to take the tape off and look, oh, it's still there. So it's not going away. So how are we teaching students to use it properly? Because what's the point of learning? Right. If you can just find the answer but don't know how to apply it, you're not learning it. You could just Googling.
You're just cutting and pasting.
You're cutting and pasting, and your employer is not interested in that. The one thing that robots can't do today, maybe they will when Skynet takes over, but we put many parts of information together to come up with a new conclusion. Basically, the ChatGPTs, the Groks, or whatever the world is a collection of all what's been written.
Correct.
And so it's groupthink. It's a big survey.
It's an aggregator.
Yeah, it's an aggregator that says this is what most people think.
Okay.
And so if you see that tool as just a guide, versus the answer, because we know it's not, half the stuff is not right yet.
Right.
It's still, I've read some of the answers there's been, I'm like, that is not true.
You have to have critical thinking
You have
skills
to
for
critical
that.
thinking skills. So I think AI is going to be a tool, I think, for learners, in particular school, and your son, either at college or a daughter at college, you have to get to them the concept of it's a tool to help you be a better learner, because in the end, we want to be lifelong learners. It's another tool to help bring in more information, more skills, more philosophies that you meld together for your own.
Sure.
And so then you become marketable to a company because you think this way and this is how you solve problems.
Will this also help educators that we know it's no secret that they're pretty overwhelmed now with everything they've got? Will this be a tool for them?
I think so. You're seeing it today. I know ASU, I've been in contact with them, and GCU as well. Many teachers are using them to help grade, 1,000, poems or whatever.
Yeah.
Rather than going through in the old days, because I'm a former language arts teacher, I spent, 3 hours grading a language arts exam.
Which is subjective versus math.
Correct.
Right.
I could find the answer quick on that page. But if you have a tool that can give good feedback, can help the student continue to learn, then we'll be using it more. I use it, periodically as well, usually to hone what I'm doing.
Yeah. We always talk about that at the chamber. 80% maybe, put it on paper, and then of course you got to read it and go through it and make it yours, but it's not the final say.
Yep. The number one thing I have as an adult, as a leader, is integrity.
Yeah.
I can't buy that or get more of it. So my character matters, and I'll defend it to the death.
Well, it's easy to lose too.
Yep, it is too. In 2 seconds, it's gone. So you have to be careful with those tools so you're not on the front page of, they didn't write that.
Correct.
And that isn't their idea. That's Grok's idea.
Right. Absolutely. Well, thanks for spending so much time with us. Obviously, the work you're doing, Deer Valley, welcoming so many folks from overseas as well. Before we leave, we're going to ask you for a quick lightning round, and I think these are going to be some great answers. We're going to start with, what was your first job? And I'm assuming it was in Alaska. First non-professional job.
Well, actually, I picked weeds in the garden for my neighbor for 25 cents an hour. That's big money.
Yeah, well,
But my first real job was pumping gas at the Union 76. Full service. You had to wipe
Back
the
in the
window.
day.
Oh, yeah. Air up the tires, check the oil.
You had to check the oil and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
A bunch of tourists would come up in the summertime. And so they big old monster motorhomes, and you'd have to full service them. Yeah.
What did you learn from those jobs?
Obviously working with customers, because if you did a good job, you got a tip. So if you're kind, fast, thorough, did a good job, you might get a $5 bill, a tip. Because those motorhomes are not easy to clean that window.
You bet.
He's been running on the outcan for 3 days.
Well, it sounds like some of the values you're instilling in your kids today.
It is.
First concert?
Petra, Christian rock group from the 80s.
Oh, so it was way back in the day.
Way back.
All right.
Way back. Yeah, I'm a big Striper fan. I've been to them like 6 or 8 times. Those guys are amazing. They're still cranking out
Hey,
today.
you can't go wrong. And then the final one, first car.
Ooh, my first car was a 66 Barracuda. I got from my dad, the one with the glass back.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a good, was
good
it
one.
rusty or did it?
No, he had bought it somewhere and gave it to me as my first transportation. But my first crown of glory was a 65 Impala Super Sport, which I built in auto shop.
Don't you wish you still had that car?
Ooh, I did. I sold it to my buddy, and he wrapped it around a tree.
Oh, man. And you built it.
I built it. In fact, I was putting on the trim right before prom. It was, I worked on it for a whole year in auto shop, rebuilt the engine, painted it. I didn't actually shoot it, sand it. My buddy, my dad's buddy shot it. But yeah, I built that car because back in those days you could work 3-4 hours in a class. And so,
well, a good example of applied learning paying off for prom.
Yeah, and it also teaches you problem solving. I mean, that whole car is all problem solving.
Yeah, especially
we're in Alaska. Where are you going to find parts?
Yeah, good luck for that.
Good luck with that. You have to go to the junkyards.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again for spending so much time with us, and we look forward to having you back.
Well, thanks for the opportunity. I enjoyed it.
Thanks for tuning in to Let's Talk Business Phoenix. Now, if you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to follow or subscribe to our channel so that you never miss an episode. We're glad that you could join us, and we look forward to seeing you next time.